Hi, and welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about finger combinations. So, a brief word about the operating system, the fingering system that we use. It can vary depending on where we are and who our teacher was and what we do. But what I personally use is a combination of Samandal, which I feel should be taught first, would be the foundation for other systems to be added on to, which is, as you probably know, it's a three-finger combination using 1, 2, and 4. So the general idea is that we want to have semitones between the fingers. The distance is telescoping, that is to say, it's getting closer as we go higher, so it's constantly changing. One big tip would be to think about determining the semitone between your fourth and second finger, the half-step semitone, and then coming back with the first finger, as opposed to setting the first finger down and then trying to reach to get a second finger that's in tune. There's a lot of tension. This side of my hand is much tenser when I play that way. So when I do finger combinations, I'm coming from that point of view. My mantra to my students: set the form of the hand with the outside of the hand, form, position. So we play the three-finger system. We can play it all the way up to wherever Samandal says, which is F sharp. He says to play with a fourth finger. You could play F sharp with a third finger for sure. You may want to do it a little bit earlier, which then leads us to the consideration of moving to a four-finger system, which is what I generally do. But I don't force it on my students, depending on where they are coming from. Depends on the hand, and it depends on the student. It's vitally important that the hand be tension-free. And in particular, when we play in this area, that the fourth finger be the determiner for the setting of the form, for the alignment, really. Again, here, if I play, if I find a good D, there it is, now I found it. So now if I try to reach up with each finger, there's a tendency to be a lot of tension on the outside of the hand. So instead, if we set the form with the outside of the hand, which means about our business of playing the finger combinations, we've got the fourth finger in mind. We're always aligned for the fourth finger, so it's no surprise. Thumb position, for right now, you can play close position, which I mean half step semitones between 1, 2, and 3, and for now play a whole step between a thumb and 1. I recommend playing with the thumb string on the bone joint, so the thumb pretty well in. You can see with my hand, my thumb in particular, my thumb is over the D string, and when I go to the other strings, you may not have studied thumb position too much, but try to get into that a little bit. First of all, the notes are often mysterious for players, but if you just get in the habit of playing things up and octave, and just use the same fingerings that you would have used down here, that's a really great way to start. And I think the way the Samandal Book 2 was structured would inhibit students from doing that, which is a drag. So I would recommend that you get up there right away and just see it as a translation. You could look at your electric bass as a model, and you'll learn the roadmap up there a lot. Well, you'll learn it pretty easily because you already know this. It's already in your brain. You just have to spend a little time up there and get over the what was it? Is it agoraphobia, the fear of heights? So there's that. Okay, so now just a quick look at the study. Now I have several finger orders. Here's one of them and what this would look like. The tempo, if you're going to play it slowly, you're going to play 2 notes per bow. It would be like this. And so forth. And then pull-offs. Exaggerate the hammer-on and the pull-off. And one thing to notice is we talked in another video about how we want to feel the instrument leaning forward. If you're gripping, you're going to have a hard time lifting other fingers. If you watch what I'm doing, I can easily lift another finger, and that's simply because I'm not really pressing with the rest of my fingers. I'm just letting the weight do the work, my arm weight in conjunction with the instrument. So that takes time to develop, but try to play lightly. You could also remind yourself and just play pizzicato. Play really soft. Pretend you're playing a violin, pianissimo. Don't think about big bass pizzicato sound. So you can get the coordination that way. played faster, up to 8 in a bow. Let's do a little bit of that. That was a weird order I chose, but I got all the positions in. That's one way that you can do it. I did the hammer-on alternating with the pull-off. So now when we get up here, if you're feeling ready, then four fingers would look like this. That time I did all the ascending order. Now the descending. Notice how I lean in with my head. The reason I do that is if I sit back like this, I start getting a bend in my wrist. Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. I'm using my fingers. I'm trying to muscle. This is like I could play like this in my sleep. So that's that. If you're not ready for that, that's fine. Just stay with. And really, you know, if you're just kind of finding your way up in this area, you could just take any position that you're having trouble with, and you know, and look at the Simandl. I mean, just do the chromatic form. So if I decided I wanted to work on, Simandl calls it what is this called? A second and a half position. Second and a half. So there's a B, a C, and a C sharp. You could tune that to an open string. It's a little weird. That major sixth is somewhat consonant, so you could say. Now you can do it on other strings, and now you've got. Wow, you could have the G string connecting with the other. So that's a brief look at finger combinations. The last thing is just when you do it in the upper register. That's ascending pattern really fast, really slow. See, we're always doing a whole bow. It's just a question of how many notes per. But be real consistent with it. Sometimes when students play, they'll do 2 and then they'll do 4. They get in a groove. This has a groove to it as well. Basically just going 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 D D D 3 D D, or da 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 da. It's got to be consistent. So and while you're doing this, thinking about the balance with the instrument, sending the bass forward against the fingers, except when you're up here. Now, when you're here, as I said earlier, the shoulder is doing the supporting now of the bass. Keep your feet free, and I think that's it. I think we've said everything we need to say. So now we've talked about left-hand finger combinations. More to come, and see you next time.